Hello, dear learners. I welcome you all to this module entitled Nature, Growth and Functions of MSMEs of the online course Skill Development of the Youth and Their Livelihood. In the previous module, we have discussed the various governmental skills and programs for skill development of the youths. In this module, we shall discuss the nature, growth and functions of MSMEs. Objectives. The main objectives of the module are to have an idea of the MSME sector in India, to identify the major areas under the MSME sector providing job opportunities in the context of crisis like the COVID-19 pandemic, to discuss how the MSMEs will play a crucial role in providing large employment opportunities in India. The coronavirus pandemic has brought the world to a standstill. The worst affected segment in this crisis is unarguably the micro, small and medium enterprises. The businesses shut off and fixed costs dangling over them. The MSMEs have the shocks and surprises which are not new, particularly after the demonetization and implementation of the GST policy. COVID-19 has nonetheless brought a unique predicament in the lives of the entrepreneurs of small and medium enterprises. With COVID-19 being one of the most disruptive health challenges in recent history, India is giving all efforts in navigating the complex odyssey with great agility, flexibility, sensitivity, and tenacity. It is aiming to discover the possibilities of spurring inclusive and equitable growth, to discover new value chains that would make the country self-reliant. The Atmanirbhar Abhiyan is a mission to galvanize the forces of growth across the country in various sectors of the economy. It's a launchpad for fostering entrepreneurship, nurturing innovation, and creating an ecosystem for rural and urban symbiotic development. The challenges imposed by the disruption of the global supply chain can be converted into an opportunity. Along with this, India-China standoff and the banning of 59 Chinese apps is an opportunity for startups to capitalize. In fact, the COVID-19 pandemic has built up the spirit of self-reliance, and it is now evident that from zero production of personal protection equipment (PPE) before March 2020, India today has created a capacity for producing 2 lakh PPE kits daily, and this is also growing steadily. The entire thrust on taking up challenges and uncovering opportunities will be based on the 5 pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which includes economy, infrastructure, systems, vibrant democracy, and demand. The crisis has begun and will continue to force us to think innovatively. We have to decide for ourselves whether the pandemic is an unmitigated disaster or whether we can make the best use of the opportunities that will come in its wake. In every crisis, there is a hope for a solution, and this is the time for renewed focus on the Make in India initiative. History has shown that great companies emerge during crisis. Companies like Airbnb and Slack were founded during the peak of financial crisis of 2008. The MSME sector in India. The MSME sector accounts for 29% of Indian GDP and employs 11 crore people in its 6.3 crore enterprises. Hit by COVID-19 and its aftermath, the MSME sector almost crash-landed in 2020, facing a severe contraction in revenue. The sector suffered the most in ensuring business continuity, challenged by severe liquidity crunch and dipping demand. Apart from initial relief package to MSMEs during COVID-19 crisis, the Union Budget 21-22 brought relief to the capital-starved MSMEs, with government infusing 15,700 crore for the sector. The decision to incentivize the incorporation of one-person companies, OPCs, in the budget will feed the MSMEs ecosystem. Also, by redefining MSMEs, the central government and the Ministry of MSME have brought in a large number of micro and small units under the sector, benefiting them with measures, schemes, and concessions. The government has already initiated numerous measures under Atmanirbhar Abhiyan. The measures include 20,000 crore subordinate debts for MSMEs, 50,000 crore equity infusions through MSME Fund of Funds. The MSMEs also benefited from 3 lakh crore emergency credit line guarantee scheme, which is the ECLGS, with a cumulative of 2.9 lakh crore loan already sanctioned as of January 29, 2021. The collateral-free automatic loan for businesses has been a major support for the sector. The rationalization of taxes and duties for various products from steel and alloys to garments and leather favors domestic customers and manufacturers and will further boost the sector. The Indian MSME sector has been battered by COVID-19 pandemic, with millions of business across various sectors seeing extensive economic devastation. The sector was under stress even before the pandemic, with challenges such as delayed payments, overdependence on few customers, and a lack of skilled workforce. The pandemic has broken MSME's backbone, and the biggest challenge now is survival. Looking at the sector-wise impact of COVID-19 pandemic, it is seen that the textile and apparel sector, which provides 45 million direct employment and contributes to 2% GDP, the demand shocks are expected to hurt the Indian textile exports and employment will be impacted because of limited demand. The auto and auto component sector, which provides 40 million employments and contributes to 7.1% of GDP, will significantly impact people's purchasing power. The aviation and tourism sector, which provides 42.7 million employments and contributes to 2.4% of GDP, is amongst the first sectors to be hit. The tourism and the hospitality sectors will see huge job loss. The building and the real estate sector is one of the biggest employment generators of the country and has a multiplier effect on around 250 allied industries. Housing is expected to have a muted demand and significant reduction in new launches. The consumer, retail, and internet businesses, which contribute to 10% of the GDP and provide 8% employment, will see an immediate uptick due to hoarding of essentials. However, retailers need to be wary of the supply chain disruptions. The education and the skilling sector has a market size of $101.1 billion. The sluggish human resource requirement is likely to increase unemployment, and even after operations resume, there will be issues relating to sustainability of MSMEs, thus leading to a large number of layoffs. It will be important to introduce basic healthcare e-learning courses in order to meet the healthcare professionals. The food and the agri sector, which contributes to 16.5% of the GDP, provides 43% of the total employment. The impact is likely to be low on both primary agricultural produce and the usage of agri inputs like seeds, pesticides, and fertilizers. However, all good exports to major economies will grapple for the next 6 months. The transport and logistics sector, which contributes to 14% of the GDP and provides employment to 8.27 million people, will see a medium impact. However, reduced demand for logistics due to reduced production across all sectors would put downward pressures across. Major areas under MSME. In this context, it is pertinent to mention there are certain sectors, as mentioned below, which are throwing open great opportunities for entrepreneurs in the current sector. The health and wellness. With a worldwide emergency to play, it's a huge opportunity for the health and wellness sector to place itself in a necessity amongst the users. There's immense possibility today in the Indian healthcare industry, which currently has 3 major problems: affordability, reach, and trust. Due to poor healthcare infrastructure and low doctor-patient ratio, not everyone has access to healthcare facilities in the country. If doctors cannot reach patients physically, technology is the best way to solve the issue of virtual consultations. Understanding the needs the numbers of startups that have come up using pandemic as an opportunity. Few examples include Bangalore-based Biodesign Innovation Labs, which has come up with portable ventilator, Hyderabad-based Aerobiosis Innovations, which has come up with IoT-based ventilation system, Jeevan Light. It is also a low-cost portable ventilator which can be used during the power cuts also. There are also many other startups which have come up with solutions using AI to address various issues like misinformation around coronavirus. Along with startups, Indian car maker Maruti has announced that it is teaming up with AGVA to manufacture ventilators. The list goes on, and it is an indication that India should compete where its strengths lie: innovation and lower cost. Basically, frugal innovation, as we Indians call jugaad. Digital education. This sector is experiencing a new growth during this period. Starting from online teaching platforms to assessment of assignments and online exams, the list goes on. The pandemic has made it essential for educators and learners to adopt more efficient and digital processes and tools. As the economy normalizes, the disruptions and innovations coming to the fore during this phase will become the key industry growth drivers in future. Companies like Byju's, White Hat Junior, Unacademy, Topper, Vedanta have gained it to a 3-time surge since the first phase of the lockdown. E-commerce and delivery-based startups. With lockdown imposed and social distancing being the new normal for the coming days, if not in years, people refraining from gathering at the markets, grocery stores and public places, etc., the e-commerce and delivery-based startups are booming. Given the advent of technological revolution and the interface management systems, the industry was already on a growth trajectory, and recent turn of events have further catalyzed the entire game up to unprecedented levels. People who refrain from using online ordered utilities, services and commodities are now adapting to procure their daily needs, e-commerce and delivery-based services. India's online grocers, Big Basket and Grofers, have nearly doubled the number of daily deliveries, and both are expected to hire new workforce to meet the increasing demand. In fact, e-retail, including online grocery, will be the sunrise sector in the long term, even after COVID-19 chapter comes to a close. OTT platforms and online gaming. With cinema halls facing closure, movies are being released online through partnerships with media streaming applications. The OTT platforms, online gaming has surfaced above, and the conventional ways of entertainment. Soon enough, those who were not accustomed to these would get habituated, and the need for heading out to garner more entertainment would be replaced by these. These platforms have grown to be time and cost efficient, provide a more personalized version and of the same experience, and all these can be experienced at the comfort of home. Alternative medicine. Self-care industry has seen growth during pandemic, and consumption of motivational content, exercises, healthy diets and management, etc. has increased exponentially. COVID has become a wake-up call for people. Immunity will be the buzzword in the post-COVID era. An industry that has benefited the most is that of alternative medicine. Ayurveda market is continuously growing, and along with that is the fast-growing market for healthy snacks. The road ahead. It is time for Indian businesses to transform and take a positive approach towards investing for building Atmanirbhar Bharat. Entrepreneurs need to take advantage of the opportunity thrown by COVID-19 crisis. Those with lower leverage should shy away from making fresh and bold investments in the new strategic sectors. As far as the government is concerned, along with facilitating entrepreneurs to capitalize on opportunities, it is imperative the government increases investment in social sector, including healthcare, education, environment, rural infrastructure. There is need to look for sustaining demand, and the government should plan to push demand through another stimulus down the road. Banning 59 Chinese apps is a significant statement of intent, and India must significantly embark on its journey of self-reliance and start with three missions: solar and battery energy, consumer electronics, and AI. Indigenization of these sectors and world-beating quality and price will be the only way to reduce our trade tariff deficit with China and match its military might. We need to steel ourselves for a few years of hardship with knowledge and believe that we will overcome. If we don't, our dreams of a tech sovereign India will become like a TikTok video, short-lived and illusory. At this point, India needs to invest in future, moving from imitation to innovation. For long, Indian companies, be it pharmaceuticals, automobiles, or IT sectors, have enjoyed imitation. It's pertinent to note that India's R&D spending is 0.6% of GDP, whereas China it is 2.1% and South Korea it is 4.55%. Situation in the corporate is also not different. Incentivizing innovation over imitation and emphasizing on design, engineering, and manufacturing at scale is needed. Owing to whatever is happening, what is needed is a strong focus. However, amidst the economy being in the technical recession, the sector still needs a much stronger policy thrust to maximize its potential. The sector will benefit if a considerate view is taken and changes happen, making credit and capital subsidy easily accessible to MSMEs. The lending ecosystem, therefore, needs to be eased and strengthened by leveraging digital technologies for seamless lending processes and for assessing credit risk of potential borrowers. Other policy changes that need to be taken up include incentivizing digital adoption within the sector, promoting digital literacy, addressing skilling challenges, reducing GST, easing various licensings and compliances, making interventions that would guide the sector to a wider market through e-commerce. The MSME sector is next to agriculture in terms of providing employment. It accounts for 48% of India's exports. With strong and complex backward and forward linkages, the sector provides essential support to large enterprises and their value chain. In making Atmanirbhar Bharat, its role is highly instrumental. 1/5 of the MSMEs are based in rural areas. This also indicates a role they play in promoting sustainability and inclusive development and generating large-scale employment in rural areas. It is important that the Ministry of MSME draws up a policy framework with multiple scenarios as to how to continue business operations commensurate with the spread of virus. The proposed policy framework should consider the following: wage support or subsidy package that would be available to employers to pay salaries and other statutory dues, especially to the contractual and daily wage workers. It will be crucial given a salary need not navigate the crisis. There may be room to compensate subject to a cap self-employed businesses who can prove to decrease in turnover. Treatment of commercial electricity, water and other utility bills could be examined specifically in the scenario where lockdown has been further extended. It will be extremely beneficial for units to be offered or required to pay property tax, rent and other utilities in order to avoid further cost and liquidity shortfalls, since payment of personal salaries should be a priority for enterprise owners. COVID-19 crisis is an unforeseeable ending. What is clear, though, is that the government and business, both large and small, will have to work together, ensure that protection of workers and be ready for risk management in terms of phased restarting of business operations and be prepared to open structural changes in business activity. Newer solutions will be the need of the hour and may not be foreseen as yet. Post this pandemic, business scenario will be completely changed and every sector will have to be looked at differently for sustainability. For the MSME sector to recover from COVID crisis and to identify opportunities, they will need to embrace technology and digitization, change mindset and focus on business innovation, monitor labor productivity on a daily basis, think of strategies that can revive revenues of the businesses within a short span of time. Launching an economic vertical, e-commerce vertical is a good example. Business models need to be more agile and should come up with crisis management strategies. Focus should be on 3 factors: managing short-term disruptions, catering to medium-term needs, planning for long-term changes. Building resilient and local supply chain, digitizing supply chain completely, divesting unprofitable verticals of business, sticking to core and focusing on strengthening it. MSMEs not only play a crucial role in providing large employment opportunities at a comparatively lower capital cost than large industries, but also helps industrialization of backward areas. They can also help in reducing regional imbalances, assuring equitable distribution of national income and wealth. MSMEs are complementary to large industries as ancillary units, and this sector contributes enormously to the socio-economic development of the country. The Ministry of MSME, Micro, Small and Business Medium Enterprises adopted a cluster approach as a key strategy for enhancing the productivity and competitiveness as well as capacity building of small enterprises, including small-scale industries and small-scale service and business entities, and their collectives in the country. Among other things, this approach was preferred as it facilitates economies of scale in terms of deployment of available resources for effective implementation and leads to sustainable results in the medium and long term. Conclusion. While the role of MSME is often highlighted in the context of their contribution to employment, economic growth, and balanced regional development, it is important that these enterprises are sustainable and can deliver scale. Even though contributing significantly to exports, Indian MSMEs are still not regarded as a force to reckon with in the international markets. Looking ahead, the challenges are in building the next generation of MSMEs that can function as powerhouses of the economy. With intense competition at the global level and demands arising from globalization, it is imperative for the MSMEs to democratize greater competitiveness, position themselves strategically, and leverage their engagements in global value chain. So, before concluding, let us quickly jot down the main points that we have discussed in this module. In this module, we have learned that the MSMEs play a vital role in Indian economy. The challenges imposed by the disruption in the global supply chain due to COVID-19 pandemic can be converted into an opportunity. We have also learned about the different areas under the MSME sector such as digital education, e-commerce and delivery-based services, OTT platforms, online gaming, health and wellness, alternative medicine, etc., which will provide myriad new opportunities in the coming days. However, amidst the economy being technical recession, the sector still needs a stronger policy thrust to maximize its potential. So here we come to the end of the module. See you again in the next module.